As you see, I teamed up with Matti Sulanto again. It's been a long time, but I think now is a good time because he has the Panasonic 100-400mm lens and I got the brand new M.Zuiko 100-400mm lens. You want to see this?
I think you have to do your jargon now, and there are some birds back there. I'm gonna go and grab a few birds while you do your whatever it is that you
All right,
do.
We'll see in a moment. Hi there, my name is Peter Forsgard and I am an Olympus visionary and a professional photographer from Helsinki, Finland. And before we start to compare these two 100-400mm telephoto zoom lenses, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit that bell so you get notified when there is a new camera online. New camera online, new video online. But let's start. So did you get any good images while I was doing my jargon?
Not really, the birds are too fast for me.
Those birds.
Those birds, yes.
They're not too fast for you. But what about the specifications of these lenses? Because the focal length range is the same. And I'm glad that Olympus finally made this lens, because I know unfortunately a lot of Olympus users have been buying this lens because
this was the only choice.
Yeah, it was the only choice. And we are comparing these so that Matti is using this on his camera and I'm using that on my camera, but that video is on his channel.
Yes, please check it out.
Check it out, and I will put an end screen to that video so you have a chance to go over there after this video. Okay, the focal length range is the same, which is, I think it's a very good focal length range for many purposes, bird photography, sports and whatnot.
And I certainly don't need anything longer than this. This is already too much for me.
And the same thing I've said many times in my videos, that I'm not a telephoto or long telephoto. I tend to like 75mm, 45, 25, but not this long. I don't really need those, but it's actually quite fun to use these. But what about the differences? The main difference is the fastest aperture.
Yes, it is, because at the short end, at the wide end, this is f4 lens.
F4 lens, and this is f5. So that's 2/3 of a stop difference. Is it?
I think it's something like a half a stop.
No, it's anyway.
Anyway, it's not a big deal.
But it is a difference anyway.
It is a difference, and I wonder why it is, because this lens is smaller than that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I was actually on my video, I was saying that it's probably 5.0 because they wanted to make it smaller, but that's probably not the case.
I don't know.
Once I've used that, but I did not remember that it was quite a smaller lens. How much does that weigh? Because that's always an issue.
Officially, it's 985 grams.
985 grams. Okay, this is 1.1 kilograms without the hood, but okay, this doesn't weigh that much.
Yeah.
And then the collar for tripod, which is Arcas Vis compatible, which I like. It's easier.
This one also comes with this part, the leg part, whatever. But this demo lens is not mine, and it's lost somewhere. This part.
Yeah,
but it comes with that.
That was a good disclaimer. This is not either my lens. This is the one that I tested about a month ago, which I did not have at the time when I was making my first impression video about this. But now I have it for this weekend, so I can see Matti and make some videos. And what about the switches and knobs? We can talk about that in the next part, which is the usability.
Usability?
Yeah, usability. And when I talk about usability, of course, you could call them also features in a way. But let's look at the knobs. There are all kinds of switches on your lens. Okay, first we have the
limiter.
Focus limiter. Okay, this has 3 different settings.
I have only 2 full and then infinity to 5 meters.
Okay, this one has 1.3 to 6 meters and then from 1.3 meters to infinity and then 6 meters to infinity.
All right.
So pretty close. What is the closest focusing distance? We didn't talk about that in the features. Do you remember that?
Yes, it's 1.3 meters.
It's the same, exactly the same.
Yes.
But do you know what we should do? We should try to test that. Is it actually the same?
Yeah, we can try that. We can try if the magnification ratio is the same.
Yeah,
we'll test that.
Yeah, we'll test that in the later. So don't go away.
Don't go away.
And then there is the you can turn this to AF. That's okay.
Yes, the same.
And then there is the stabilizer.
Yes.
And that's works a bit differently with that combination and this combination. We talk about that in the next next thing.
Yes.
And then there is the
Don't
lock.
go away.
Then there is the locking mechanism,
Yes.
which is a bit different from that one. And I think, to be honest, on that one it's a bit better.
Yes, this one you can lock at any focal length, which I think is quite practical because sometimes you may want to stick at a certain focal length and you can lock it at any focal length you wish.
Yeah, and on this one you can only lock it to 100 millimeters. So it's like this: when you have this on, then you doesn't lock it to, let's say, like 200 or 400. And I think that could be different. And
Yes.
because now I think the locking mechanism is only so it doesn't, you know, by accident start. What do you call it? What do you call that thing when it?
Zoom creep.
Zoom creep. Yeah, you always use that on your videos, but I always forget what. Yeah, it does not creep. Yeah, so it's not actually for use to lock into a certain focal length. It's only for creeping.
And one small detail on this lens is that whenever you rotate the tripod collar, then the buttons and switches, they turn with the collar, so they are always on the side of the lens.
Yeah. Okay. This one is it's on the top if you do this, but if you do it this way, then you block them.
Yeah, but this
So
one
you
only turns like 90 degrees. So I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's
actually
like
not.
it is.
It's not actually that bad. It's a bit different, but it's not that bad.
They are always on the left side of the lens.
And next we will talk about the AF and the image stabilizer. Okay, then we talk about the AF, which of course are hard to compare because we haven't really used them. You haven't used this combination and I haven't used that, but as I said in the first impression video about this lens, that I didn't have any problems with the AF. Only thing was that when I had the extender on, it was a bit slower, and like flying birds, which this might be for some, is more about knowing the species, knowing the birds and how they fly and where they're going to turn next, and the signs of, you know, if you're a pro, then it's much easier. For me, it's really hard, so I need a really top-notch and the fastest AF in the world to be a bird photographer. But I did get some decent images. But what about you?
Well, I kind of I have the same thoughts. I mean, I'm not a bird photographer, and my problem with this kind of lens, especially if the birds are flying, is that I hit the bird in the first place, and the focus is like the smaller problem there. I just can't, you know, find the bird at 400 millimeters. It's because the angle of view is so narrow. My experience with the autofocus on this lens and this G9 camera body are good. I have no problems in my photography with this combination. No problems whatsoever.
Yeah, it's always about knowing the subject.
Yes.
And if you're doing sports, then you should know the sport. That will help you a lot.
Yes.
Because people used to use manual focus in sports and bird photography
I used to shoot a lot of ice hockey, for example, on manual focus cameras back in the 80s.
Yeah, but that's so you can manage this. Sometimes it's even faster to do manual focus than autofocus if the autofocus is bad, but you can use autofocus on this one. But then what about the image stabilizer? Because there was a bit of an issue on this one. It does have in the lens, but it's only 3 stops, which is, to be honest, not that much for an Olympus gear, which usually we're more used to like 7 stops, 6.5. And it's, as I said, it's not MKII, but there is a new firmware for EM1X, EM1 Mark II, and EM5 Mark III to make it more of a partial.
So they work together.
They work together. So some part of the stabilizer works with the IBIS. I think it's the pitch and yaw, if I remember correctly.
The
rotation is from the body, and then the rest is from the lens. But it's not a genuine MKII. And if you turn the stabilizer off from the lens, then it will use the one in the body, because that's also different. In let's say the 12 to 100 millimeter f4 lens, if you turn the IS off from the lens, it will shut the whole IBIS and the IS off. So it works a bit differently. Wow. And then if you have turned it off from the camera, then it uses only the 3 stops from the lens.
That's confusing.
It is a bit confusing, and it's a bit different. And to be honest, I would have liked to have it MKII, but I don't think it's a deal breaker for many, because it is still stabilized lens. But that works a bit different with the G9.
Well, This lens has an optical stabilizer built in, and it works. The Panasonic's dual IS works if you have a compatible camera body, which means a camera body with IBIS in general.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the very oldest camera bodies, but in general it works. The dual IS works.
And dual IS is the same thing as Sync IS. They just use the different terms.
Yes,
most likely
it combines both the IBIS and the optical stabilizer. I don't have any official Panasonic claims of the effectiveness of the stabilizer, but it's, in my opinion, it's pretty good for such a long lens.
Yeah, and why long lenses have built-in IS is that it works better.
Yes.
The IBIS is better for wider angle views.
Yes, that's it.
And that's why they have to put it also in the lens.
There's simply not enough room in the camera body to move the sensor enough for a long telephoto lens.
Because the movement here is small, but when it's 100 meters there, it's a huge movement.
Yes.
That's why it doesn't have the room for the sensor to move. But let's continue to the next thing. Okay, both images 1.3 meters, 400 millimeters. There's a slight difference, and that comes from the magnification.
Yes.
But the difference isn't really that big.
It's not big, but there is a difference.
Yeah. So remember, it's not always the closest focusing distance, it's also the magnification.
Yes.
And then we talk about the image quality. And image quality is always a personal thing, and every modern lens today, they have a good or excellent image quality, and nothing wrong with the image quality of this one, like you saw in the first impression video about this lens. It's more about the photographer than the image quality itself. You can produce.
Yes, my pictures look always really good.
It doesn't matter what lens you use.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Even if I'm using Olympus lens, they are still good. Yes.
Oh yeah, then they're especially good. I don't really emphasize image quality or talk about it that much in my videos because I don't see it as the biggest issue in many things, because it's more about the usability and the size and the knobs and stuff like that, which matters, at least to me, for a lot more than just image quality.
I agree.
Oh really? Good. Okay, it's time for the conclusion, and we've been comparing, and what is your conclusion? What do you think? What are the most important things for you when you're choosing a long telephoto zoom lens, or whatever you call these? Tell us and the viewers in the comments down below what are your main things when you're choosing a lens. And one thing I know is the price. And when I said that this is a bit cheaper than that one, but it might not be the case in every country. In Finland it is. There's a big difference because for some reason Panasonic lenses are a bit expensive in Finland.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know why that is so. But I could find that about the same price than this one.
At least the price difference is not big.
It's not. It's about 100 euros / dollars maybe. That's an average difference.
When this first came out, this was a lot more expensive, but now you can get it for a lot like a reasonable price.
Yeah, and it's that one is, when was that launched? It's 3-4 years maybe, something like that.
At least 4.
We'll put the number here.
Some years ago.
Yeah, so it's a lot older lens too. But to conclude this is that always, in my opinion, you should start, well, if you are looking for this kind of lens, 100 to 400 millimeter or something like that. If you have an Olympus body, I would start looking at this, and if you can get it good priced and stuff like that. And then I would start looking at that if there's something wrong, which I would suspect why there is something wrong there, because there isn't anything wrong. But in that rare case that you might like that, then do that.
If you can't get that for some reason or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. But always start with the same brand, because they usually work the best with the
I agree.
And
again.
And the same thing if you have G9, then I would start first with this one, of course.
It makes sense.
Yeah, and to be sure of that and see how this works on that body, there is a video released at the same time as this video on Matti's channel, and it's, I don't know where it is, somewhere in here, and go check out that video.
Yeah,
and
I'm going to be using that one on my camera, and you're going to be using this one on your camera.
And we will see you in the next one, isn't that right?
Yes.
But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.